How's it going? My name is Brent from Encore PPF and Tint, and today we're going to be working on a Rav4 Prime. So this has a lot of painted surfaces, basically all of the bumper, and it's got a lot of pieces. Maybe we'll count them as we go through. There's at least 20. There's more than that, I think. So it's a lot of parts. So let's see what we can do in this video. I'm not sure exactly what to do with this video because it's going to be long. This is going to be quite an install process with making sure that we get all these trim pieces covered. We'll see how it goes. Terrific. All right, well, let's get started on it. Oh, we are using a kit that's cut out by Core. We did remove the tow hook covers, and then the parking sensors weren't in there. I actually asked my wife this time not to eliminate those because I thought that because these are so raised, it'd be nice to just have those in there. It doesn't look like there's a lot of stretching, but they're not actually in the computer. So the one time I wanted them, they're not cut out. So we get to cut those out by hand, and let's get moving on this. All right, so I'm gonna put this middle piece on first. There's a piece that goes on here, and then that way we can bump into it with the other parts here. I think we'll get a better seam that way. So I'm gonna line it up over here really well. Squeegee this down. We're kind of watching this front edge, and then we're going to go ahead and bring it to over here. We're going to stretch this down into place. I'm going to put a little bit of tack right on that very edge. I'm hanging over a little bit too much here on the front. Realign that here. I think that was the same thing. All right, let's get some slip in there and see if that'll work. So I'm actually gonna use these fingers here and bring this down into place. And then I'm gonna check my alignment, and then we're gonna go ahead and squeegee across. I'm gonna switch it up. Okay, that worked pretty good. Oops. Oopsie. So that was tack solution. So make sure that we get this down and it stays in place. It's such a little part that's going to want to, that type of area is not going to want to stick real well with just some slip solution. Lining up this front, and then we'll go ahead and squeegee across that front face, and then we'll take this back. So we're getting this area tacked down so that we can do a stretch towards the bottom and then to the middle. And so what we're going to need to do, if we just pull on this, it's going to want to come out like that. So we're going to need to push back a little bit with this finger, and then that actually tacked itself already into place. So again, across the face, and then we'll take everything back. Just make sure to go over this a couple times. Make sure you're not leaving any moisture behind. Little tack in there on these edges. Most of that was so I can get this tacked down really well so I can kind of push into it this other side. Looks like this front could have been a little bit more back, and that would have helped with those fingers right there. Because see how we're hanging over just a tiny bit right here? So if this whole thing was back, I wouldn't have had to pull this back to keep this part better lined up with this front. So let's go ahead. Get all this into place, and then we're going to go ahead and squeegee this out again. Same process. Okay, and let's see what we can do to kind of stretch this into place. Alright, so I'm kind of holding in the middle there and adjusting, but I'm putting some good pressure right here. So I've got these lined up fairly well. Hey, how's it going?
I don't know you're working or recording.
Oh, we're good. You have a question about something specific?
Nah.
No.
Just checking my mill, and I always walk over and say hey when I check my mill.
I like that.
I'm already 3/4 of the way here. That's a crappy piece of you have to put on.
Yeah, that's gonna be this whole bumper. It's gonna be a bunch of pieces like this. I mean, maybe not this. Well, there's quite a few. It's gonna be a long process.
Looks terrible. Right.
Not even sure what I'm gonna do with this video at this point.
Yeah.
Just because it's gonna be so tedious and long.
You could do like what they did on Fight Club, put a little snippet of something that people don't want to see real quick. And I'm like, wait, did I see that? Did you see Fight Club?
Yeah. Yeah.
Good morning, guys.
Good morning.
All right, so I just brought those two together, tried to line it up real well, and then squeegeed it out. All right, let's go ahead and get this piece kind of bumped into this one. Want to make sure we're not hanging over, you know, want to check the back and then check the overhang on the front. Now squeegee into the seam there. All right, so you see, because we had to move this back, it eliminated the finger up front here, but now there's a finger back here, but that's okay because we're gonna need some stretch in order to get this down to right here into the corner. And so this does wrap up in on top, and then this part just runs right along the face here, right before it would roll over the edge. Okay, so I'm just lining up this edge and then lining up down here. And I put some stretch on it that way. Let's make sure our back line there is lined up correctly. That way we don't have too much overhang here in the front. Okay, and then we'll squeegee this out. Okay, and then let's get rid of some pre-tacking here. Make sure that that's lined up still real good, which it is. And then we will go ahead, keep an eye on that relief cut there that's going to wrap around. Squeegee out the face, and then we'll work our way back here. Just popping up a little bit there. We want to get that to stay down, so get a little tack in there. Okay, so let's go ahead and what do we want to do now? Let's kind of fit this middle area, and then we'll work our way away from this spot here. So let's go ahead and squeegee that out, or just push the air pocket out of it. Okay, now let's see what we can do here. We want to make sure this is hanging over the edge just a little bit. And then this, because we did put this part back into the computer, is overhanging there. So kind of just checking for alignment, see what this is supposed to look like. Looks like about something roughly like that is where it's supposed to sit. And you can see here that this corner is supposed to come down to the tow hook cover, so that will need a little bit of stretch down. So let's go ahead and get this into place. Okay, and let's get some tack in this. Let's see how we're looking right there. Good. Oh, you know, we gotta get this guy too. Can you even see that guy? No. Let's get him first. So all I'm looking for is to get it over the this line here. this body line there. Okay, there. You don't want to leave those fingers like that for too long or let them dry out, because then they will leave a distortion in the adhesive. Let's get back to down here. Again, we're just gonna, for now, gonna be going over that edge, and then we can come back and wrap that later. Swipe and hold. Okay. Oops. Okay, I'm kind of checking for alignment up there. Make sure we're not too far up. And then let's go ahead and get this part down. I don't like the way that went down. Let's try that one more time. Alright, and that little guy, we want that to stay down right in this little recess right here, because we are going to be moving this around a bit. Alright, let's work with all of this area in here. Alright, so I can see here, you know, where this curve is, that needs to be right about there. And then that's going to leave us with a little bit of stretch necessary this direction. So let's go ahead and see what we can work with that, sitting just like that. I'm going to go ahead and squeegee basically down to my finger, kind of like a line in there. And we'll see what of this will just go down without, oh, you know what? We can't just push that down because we're going to need that little bit of stretch. All right, let's check this line out right here first. A little bit of tack on that edge. Let's get this lined up and laid down. Now, if we're going to line this up, we also want to make sure, keep an eye down in here, that we're not coming down too far and over this lip here. Oh, I think a lot of my tack solution got rinsed out. All right, tack that edge down. Okay. Then let's see what we can do. That's looking like that's going to line up real good. So this is definitely going to be the placement on this. So I'm going to go ahead and squeegee out this bottom section. So because I'm going to be bumping into this edge is why I've got the card turned around and I'm pushing down it like this. I don't know why I have to call it a card. It's a squeegee. but it's a habit, I guess. Okay. All right, so let's go ahead and get this out now. So all we're gonna need is a tiny bit of pressure right here in order to trap this air out of the material. Oh. Well, let's just go ahead and squeegee this and see how that works. I mean, now that we actually did that, most of it's pretty much staying out. Let's go ahead and squeegee this out. Okay, and then we'll get some tack in this part. Swipe and hold on that edge. Double checking for moisture left behind. We're looking good. Okay, so now let's go ahead and see what we need. Hang on a second. Get this piece up a little bit higher here, kind of out of our way a little bit more. Okay, so it looks like you go up a tiny bit, and that really, you know, flattens this all out. Okay, so before it kind of has like a finger in it a little bit coming off this way, and so we're just gonna put a little bit more tension on that, and then we're gonna squeegee this part up away from that parking sensor. Doesn't want to stay down right there, so I add a little bit of tack in there. Let's get this part down. All right, we don't want to mess around for too long because we need to get this trimmed out. The longer you let that sit, the more possibility that it's going to be a distortion in the adhesive after you trim this out, because it's going to relieve any tension that's on here, and then that tension shrinks back to you know, anywhere where it started to stick, and that can leave a distortion. This one's not going to be such a big deal because it's not a huge stretch around it. And our water has ran down from this down to here, so we want to keep an eye on that, because it'd be very easy to leave that water bubble behind, and then that'd be a huge water bubble to try to get out with a syringe. All right, so the material's barely, I wasn't even really on the paint when I was cutting or putting my cut in that. It's kind of just floating there. Okay. Now, if we can, we'll just put this down with some slip, and we won't worry about adding any tack solution. Let's see how it goes. Just gonna bring everything into parking sensor we just trimmed out. Okay, that looks really good. And then let's double check this line down here, because when we come around, we are going to be bumping back into this line. This is going to be a seam. And just for good measure, I'm going to put a little tack around that and then bump into this one more time. Okay. All right, so now we're gonna need to stretch this into place. So let's pull it back, just check for pre-tacking, lay it back down. So a lot of fingers here, so you can tell we're gonna need a good stretch. And you know, we've got, what, at least an inch here? Can you see that part? Well, we're gonna have to see that with the other camera. Let's try to leave that one right there. So we've got about an inch of stretch that we're gonna need to do here, and that's a lot. So this line here has already started to cure. So if we just immediately take off and stretch that into place, this line is going to definitely leave a distortion in the adhesive. So what we're gonna do is give ourselves a new stretch line, or a line to stretch from. We're gonna go ahead and squeegee out about an inch. Could be even as little as half an inch. And then we're gonna let that start to tack up just a little bit, and then we'll start our stretch from there. Okay, finger popping up right here on this, on the top part. There we go. All right, so I'm gonna stretch up to here, and let's see, depending on how much tack you have in your, or, you know, how much soap you have in your slip, you might want to add some tack solution there so that as soon as you get that stretched into place, you can squeegee it out. Okay, so let's lay that back down. We want that edge to be right in the corner. It does hold over, it does roll over a little bit, and you can tell because you're going to be looking down here as well. All right, so we've got that lined up pretty good. Now the other thing we want to be certain of is that we don't let this pattern go up too high. So we're gonna pull down on it a little bit. And then let's tack this down right away here. All right, and you can see because I was holding it for so long that I did end up pre-tacking underneath my hand. So I'm gonna pull that part back a little bit and spray some tack or slip solution underneath there. But I want this to stay in place here. Okay, so all right, so we're gonna go ahead and pull down a little bit and make sure that our line here on the top is looking really good. The other thing to keep an eye on is that we're gonna need to stretch over to here. So let's actually check that out real quick first, because I think that it's going to help us, that's going to help position this as well. A little bit of tack on that edge, and then we'll work that down into place. Okay, and then let's see what that's doing for us here. Okay, so we're lined up real good there. So let's go ahead and squeegee out on this body line, and then this stuff will all go down. And then we'll take the rest of this towards the middle and then up. All right, so let's not come down too far because we're going to need to do a little bit of stretching here. This part we're going to leave for just a moment while we stretch everything else into place. Okay. Well, let's just take care of it now since the camera's already basically pointed at it. All right, so we're gonna just basically work this finger up and break it apart like that. Okay, and let's bump that edge out a little. Just dry it up. Great. All right, let's get on this bottom part. I was trying to move quick there because we don't want this line to start to dry that we're gonna stretch from to come down here. Okay, we need to come down. Let's see what it looks like. This is gonna need to line up. This is going to need to come down underneath here, and then you can see these little edges are gonna hang over and then wrap. So let's get that taken care of here. So let's get our stretch, and I'm gonna stretch kind of down to the bottom, and I'm gonna keep an eye on all of this here. So get a little tack in there. Keeping an eye on these as well. Okay, that's got us lined up really nicely, so let's get some stuff squeegeed out here. Okay, let's just get a little slip in there while we just don't want that to dry right around that. So let's go ahead and squeegee all this out, see if this finger is gonna stay down without some tack solution. No, let's just get some tack in there. Okay, let's get rid of this now. Okay. And then we'll worry about that part later. Let's get this part right now. Get a little tack in there, because it's definitely gonna need a little convincing. While we're at it, we'll put some tack underneath here. Okay. So we're just basically making it over that first ridge, or the first body line, and then we're gonna make it to the next one. Okay, and let's take it down. I'm gonna just do these one at a time here. Well, I kind of lied on the next one there. I kind of did two of them at a time. Just make sure you're not leaving any moisture behind. See, like that. All right, so for now, really all I'm concerned about is getting them over this body line and then over this one. It could pop up down here, and that's fine. We'll wrap that in a moment. We've got other stuff that we need to do here in order to get this panel in place, and then we'll come back and do those little finishing touches. All right, we're gonna kind of have to work together on this one, but that is a little close for now. So let's go right about there. All right, so you can see we got a little bit of a finger here. We are going to be able to work with that if it stays, but I think we're going to end up doing a little bit of stretching this direction and so it will kind of help that finger go away a little bit. So I'm basically just kind of bringing this to the edge and then bumping it into this other piece. And then with my finger, I'm raising it up into it. So it's bumped into it real nicely. I want to make sure, like right here, we're overhanging a little bit, so I'm going to bring that part back down. And then let's continue to do that all the way over. Kind of running my finger across the seam to make sure that it's not overhanging and that there's no gap. And since I held my finger there for so long, that went ahead and tacked kind of into place. We're going to go ahead and squeegee this line out. And then let's just double check. Let's push up on it a little bit and see. Looks like it's nice and tight right there, so we're good. And we'll keep working our way back. So I'm kind of pulling back on the film and then pushing it into this recess here, and then checking that seam. And we are going to get some fingers here, but we'll be able to work with those. Right now the seam is the most important part. Okay, so I'm going to take all of this down now from this body line down. Okay, let's get some of this squeegeed out. And we're gonna need some tack in here. Oh, running out, running out. So you can see I'm kind of trying to split these fingers up, and I'm kind of trying to bring them away from the seam as much as I can. And then just make sure that whenever you stop, you get the card or the squeegee right off of the material. If you stop on the material, you're gonna leave a line. I know I say that all the time, but it's you know, it's important to keep that in mind, because you'll make a bunch of marks in the adhesive that you don't need to have. Okay, and then let's go around the corner here. We're gonna throw some more tack in this. Fold it over a little bit on itself there. It was already like tacked back here. Then when I pushed this around, it actually smashed it together and made a little mark right there. So I went ahead and lifted it up and got that out by just sticking my fingernail behind it and pulling this direction. Okay, and then now we'll go ahead and get all this, work our way down. Make sure you're doing a good job, because it is on a little bit of a, you know, it's like a big rounded thing. So make sure you're doing a good job with even pressure, and make sure you're not leaving any water behind on that line. Okay, and then let's get this part and work our way towards this relief cut. Actually, let's get this guy in here. There we go. This part popped up a couple times. Let's see if it would like a little bit of drying on the edge. Okay, great. Got a nice seam, no water left behind. All right, so this part we want to get this tacked down. right, and then this part right here on the edge. And then we'll leave that later for when it completely dries out. And then we'll wrap it around with some heat. All right, let's wrap this edge. Get this all rinsed out with some tack solution. All right, and let's start wrapping it in. Let's see, where do I want to start on this one? There is a relief cut right here, so I'm going to go ahead and put this down. This part first. And then I'll work my way up from this part. Again, make sure you're rolling over this edge really good and you're getting all your tack solution out of there. Otherwise, later on, you'll have a bunch of air pockets once that dries out. All right, let's see this guy, how he's gonna go down. Really well, great. Just double checking to make sure that we've got everything off the face, and then we're gonna go ahead and wrap this in. Gonna go ahead and chomp this down. Slide chomp for still double checking everything. Be careful when you're doing a slide chomp, you don't come down and hit this relief cut. You don't want to peel up this part, the bottom part. As you come across, you can hit that part and peel that up, bunch it up. All right, so for the way that we go around these, or the way that we work with the tow hook covers, is that we leave all the extra there, and then I'm gonna come back and trim off everything, but just maybe a little bit over 1/8 of an inch. To come this way first, apparently. A little bit more than 1/8. Now we can wrap into there. And then, I think it's pretty obvious, but then that just helps you not have that line on the edge here. And that will make sure you don't pick up wax and things over the years. And then I'm also, some of these inside corners like this, you get a little tight, so I am gonna come and put a little relief cut there. And then we're gonna completely let that dry out. And then just like that other bottom corner there, we're gonna go ahead and just let this sit and hang out till it's dry, and then we'll put some heat on it and wrap it in. On that very corner of this relief cut here, it was popping up just a tiny bit, so I'm gonna go ahead and push that down and dry it out, make sure it's staying down. When you dry it out, if it pops right back up, it'll be silver, so it'll make it real easy to see. And then let's dry this edge out, because we are hanging over just a tiny bit, which is fine. That's just gonna need a little bit of heat, and that'll go right down. So that again will be done with the heat sealing around the edges. See how we're looking here. All right, everything's looking down and it's looking really good. What we got here? Oh, a little water bubble, or a little air pocket right there. All right, yeah, you just want to go through and check things, because like that little air bubble is real easy to get out right now, but later on it might take a needle to get that out, or you'll have to pick the material up. So just go and double check all your stuff. Let's work on this part up here now, right in front of the hood. All right, so it looks like this is gonna wrap down above the headlight and then wrap down in the front. And then it's just gonna go up to this edge back here. So let's go ahead and start at one of the corners there. And then, oh, you know what? I'm just gonna go fill up my rubbing alcohol bottle, tack solution. All right, fresh bottle of tack. So because it's so flat, I'm actually just gonna tack this whole area. We're gonna be looking for on the back here to make sure we're not hanging over. We're not going over the edge on the very corner. Gently leave that in place. And then we will start squeegeeing this out. All right, you see, because this is such a small area, you see it still could slip around, so just keep that in mind. I was being real gentle until that last squeegee. I thought this had a tack down well enough, but it hadn't. Okay. And then we're just gonna leave this until after we get the main part installed. All right, so come right over to here. Also checking that edge there. That looks good. Just right up to the black rubber there. I'm gonna start squeegeeing this across. See, I'm kind of holding this in place with my fingers, putting a little pressure on that edge just to help it not move around, because we didn't put any, or I didn't put any tack solution under this part. Okay, then let's just double check to make sure we don't need to do any stretching here, and it looks like we're ending real good right there. And for this last part, I am going to add some tack in there, just because it gets so small. All right, we'll go ahead and spray this whole edge out now. And then we'll wrap this down. I'm gonna give these a little bit more time to set up, although because we put tack in there, I'm pretty sure it's good, but I'm gonna go ahead and do the middle first, and then we'll get these sides. All right, just make sure we've got everything off the top, it's all squeegeed out. And we'll just chomp our way over there. Push that down first, and then we'll come back this way. And just double check it with a slide chomp there. And actually, I'm just going to continue. So we want to get those edges of the corners down first. Get the rest of this down. Left a little water there. Let's kind of see if we can slide that over to this part. There we go. So as you can see, the way that I'm doing this here is I'm bending the squeegee so that I'm actually going over this lip here before it wraps under. And that just helps ensure that we're getting all of the slip solution or tack solution right out of that edge. Even when I'm doing my swipe, same thing. You can see I'm hanging over on the top almost. See that? All right, make sure we're off the face or the top. And we'll work our way across here. And then just make sure that bottom edge is all the way down as well. I think the light just hit this edge weird. It looked like I left some water in there. All right, and then we'll go ahead and, like I was saying, we'll swipe the very edge down. Okay. More of the same. I did leave, did I? There was a little tiny air pocket right there. Let's see if we can get it to this relief cut here. There we go, it went out. I used this thicker part of the card to get some extra pressure on it. And it did push out. All right, so last part for this video, we're gonna go ahead and get this center section on here. And then on another video, we'll do the rest of this bumper here, where for the Prime, you know, the upgraded version, where this is all painted instead of being a matte black plastic. All right, so this one didn't get adjusted in the computer, so it's not going to hang over into this area, but that's, you know, that's all right. It's just a little something extra we like to do on our tow hook covers. So it's just going right up to the edge. So we're just pushing the seam together, get a nice tight seam. And then let's get some tack under here so that we can do some stretching to the other side. So I could see that it was hanging over. It's like bumping up pretty hard against it. And then just doing this to kind of work the material away from itself. So to put a little bit of space so that the seam, it's not bumping into itself right there so hard and peeling up. Okay. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to work my way up around the bend, and then we'll stop there. We're going to come to right here, because I did need a little bit of stretch. And then we'll come back and worry about that part later. It's popping up a little. Alright, so you can see there's a decent amount of stretch. Not sure why there's so much stretch, but that's why we come over to the other side to check, because if you start squeegeeing like this and you get to here or even to here, and then you realize, well, wow, I need like a little bit over half inch of stretch here. It's easier to get it out of this whole thing than it is to get it like right here. So we always come and check this part to see how it's fitting. I got it pretty tacky. I'm not gonna put any tack in there. Let's see what we can do about this seam over here. So I'm keeping an eye on my edge here. So that part's lined up really good. Let's see what we can do about this part here. Okay, that feels good. I'm gonna go ahead and squeegee out right here to help so it doesn't pull away from our seam. Throw a little tack in there. Feels good. Nice and smooth when I run my finger across it. Tough time with the hose today. Alright, let's make sure we don't pre-tacking. Then we're going to go ahead and follow this line all the way across. That's going to give us a little bit hanging up over the top. It's going to wrap back to the grill. Okay, so I go a few inches, or it's like probably like 3 to 5 inches there, and then hold it in place with these two fingers. Squeegee out to my fingers, and then we just continue to work our way down here. Each time, you know, moving the material around a little bit to make sure I'm lined up real well and make sure it's not pre-tacking. I'm breaking that loose. Because we do get some tacking where I put my fingers and hold the material in place, and we might need to break that loose sometimes when we go to move the next piece into place. All right, so now get all these edges real good with some tack solution. Do a slide chomp here. Okay. It's kind of hard to get a tool right in there. Let's see. It's just that there's moisture in there, so it continues to pop back up because I'm not getting real good pressure on it in this little recess right here. Hopefully you can see that on the camera. So blow out some of that mixture of whatever's in there, the tack solution, and it looks like that's just going to continue to pop up. So we're going to let that rest for a bit. Actually, I'm going to pick at it just a little bit more. Oh, some fresh tack. Put that right down. Great. Let's get these ones down. Okay, get these ones out. And then let's see what we can do about this same little corner here. Make sure everything else is down real good, and then we're gonna let's get back to this guy here. So what I'm doing is moving just a little bit slower over it now while I'm pushing it down, in hopes that that little bit of time with the extra pressure will help that to stay down. Just trying to dry it out in there now. That way if it pops up, it'll be silver and we'll be able to see it better. That stayed down. Great. All right, terrific. Well, that was the process of installing paint protection film on the front bumper. And we're gonna go ahead and leave these extra pieces for another video. So this is the main part that's painted, that should be painted on all models. And then the Prime, we'll go ahead and show that in a separate video. Terrific. Well, hopefully you found that helpful. I did skip this half because that's a little redundant. We already did it on the other side. You can just go back and watch it again if you wanted. Anyway, thanks for taking a look. And if you found anything helpful, please like and subscribe, and we'll see you on the next one.